Hi everybody, it's the Anime Overanalyst here coming at you with another Promised Neverland video. This is my third review and it'll cover chapters 60 through 74. Now this is going to be a short video and it's just mainly going to be a video of me talking in front of the camera, so I'm just going to start right on into it. So I got like 4 pages of notes, and obviously I'm not gonna go through every single bullet point that I have. Most of it's just kind of like ideas that I've picked up along the way. Um, but I'm gonna try and hit on most of the major plot points, and mostly I want to hit on just kind of my thoughts surrounding the characters. I'm not really going to try and speculate into many theories because I have actually read up to chapter 150, so I know a lot of the stuff that's going down within the next several reviews already. It's just taken me a while to actually record the reviews. So, like I said, without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. So, uh, right off the bat, when I last left off, Emma, Ray, and Mister have headed out to Goldie Pond. Now, Emma and Ray are risking their lives, of course. They're going out and pretty much betting with their lives with Mister. They know that he wants to kill them, and that's actually kind of interesting. You know, they're in a way they're kind of playing another like mental war with each other. And finally, actually, before I even go into what finally happens, Mister leads them into kind of like a pack of man eaters in a forest. And Emma and Ray learned how to kill the demons. You have to shoot them right into the eye. So that's actually really quite fascinating. And I think it's the only way to kill them, actually, is just by shooting them into the eye. So that's something to keep in mind for further on down the line. Anyways, Emma and Ray finally learn how to hunt. They finally kind of learn how to traverse through the forest. And finally, Emma goes up to Mister and was like, "Hey, stop being enemies. Let's just stop being enemies." And the dude was like, "Why? You know, why would I give two craps about you?" And Emma goes, "Hey, your old self was just like me. You know, the only difference is your friends died, while I've still managed to keep my family alive." And by saying this, it kind of triggers some flashbacks within Mister, and he kind of comes to terms like, oh yeah, his old self was like Emma. But before that he could actually turn around and admit it to her, she gets kidnapped. Now, it turns out that the kidnappers are demons as well. They're the poachers. In fact, Mister was leading or luring the poachers to Emma and Ray in hopes of getting rid of both of them. But Emma, right then and there, had changed his mind, so he kind of instantly felt bad. Ray tries to convince Mister to go after her, and Mister kept saying, no, she's done for, there's no way to save her, not at all. And he explains to Ray where they're going. Apparently, Goldie Pond is a garden. Yeah, think of it as kind of like a hunting ground. It's actually a hunting ground. Basically, demons are betraying the promise by hunting humans. There's only like 5 or so demons, and no other demon knows about this place. But their whole goal is just to hunt kids. And so Ray insists on going after Emma, and he doesn't back down, which is like the first time in the series that I can think of that he does not give up immediately. He goes straight into, no, I'm going to save her, I'm going to save her, I'm going to save her. And finally, he convinces Mister to go in and save her. Now, while he's doing that, meanwhile, Emma wakes up and she's in this what looks like a clown village. You know, it's got like colorful buildings and everything seems it's almost medieval like. It's really weird. And she reads a sign that says it says rules: 1, music; 2, monsters; 3, survive. And suddenly music starts playing, and she's kind of confused until a character named Violet comes up and goes, "Hey, we got to get out of here. Monsters are coming, demons are coming." And right when they're about to do that, Emma hears a group of 3 kids screaming. She goes and uh, talks to the 3 kids, kind of like just how Emma always is. She's always like the typical shonen protagonist. Think for or actions first, thoughts later. So she goes and tries to save the 3 kids. And by doing so, basically what happened was there were 3 kids, a boy, a girl, and another boy hiding behind a tree, pretending not to be there, even though the demons know about it. And so Emma takes an axe and chucks it at one of the demons, and that buys them enough time for all the other kids to run and escape. However, one of the demons in particular, Archduke, it's Luvis, I believe. It's Archduke Luvis. In my translation, it says Lewis, but I think that W is a V, so I'm going with Archduke Luvis. Anyways, he's an interesting character in the fact that the reason why he does all the hunting is because he wants to put his life on the line as well as the prey. And currently, at this point, it's like chasing rabbits. He's like, we're the top dogs, and this is really getting boring. And when he saw Emma chuck the axe and almost kill one of the other demons, he's like, oh, I found a fighter. I'm going to set my targets on her. Now, of course, Emma kind of knows this, and so she tells the 3 kids, whose names are Jake, Monica, and Theo. So she tells the 3 of them, hey, split up, head downwind. They won't be able to smell you if you go downwind. And in case they do find you, tell them that premium quality from Grace Field is here. Tell them to come after me. And so the 3 kids split. Emma takes off with Violet because Violet had tagged along. And as they're running, Violet's kind of chewing out Emma, saying that was one of the most stupidest things she could have done. She shouldn't have gone and saved the kids. And now they're all their lives are in jeopardy. And Emma's like, yeah, I get that a lot. So as they're running, suddenly music starts playing again, and that signals that the demons are over. So when Emma heads back to the village, she finds out that she finds Theo, and she's like, "Where's Monica and Jake?" And apparently, Archduke Luvis, had hunted all those 3 down. He killed Monica and Jake. He pretty much beheaded Jake. I'm surprised they even showed it in the manga. And he left Theo alive and gave him a message. He said, tell Emma Archduke Lewis is looking for you, basically. And so that pisses Emma off because she thought she was saving all of them, and she failed in that, honestly. This was probably her biggest failure yet since the escape. She thought that she could protect everyone, and she's starting to learn that she cannot protect everyone. And that's going to start plaguing with her mentality, I've noticed, is that she really believes that she can save everyone, but this is kind of a world where you can't. So, yeah. Anyways, Violet finds Emma finally after a while, and Violet's like, hey, now it's my turn, follow me. And so Emma follows her into a windmill that's guarded by a big hunking dude named Adam. And I'll be talking about Adam a little bit later on. But basically, inside the windmill, they find a gang of people who already knows about the monsters. They're kind of like a secret organization that's, waiting to attack. So my computer fell asleep, so I'm sorry for any glitches. Anyways, so we've got Violet, we've got Sandy and Zach doing first aid, we've got Nigel as the mechanic, we've got Sonia, who is second in command, we've got Pepe, Gillian, and Paula. They work on provisions, and then their whole leader is named Oliver. He's in charge of all of them. So that's 9 total members in this kind of secret organization within Goldie Pond. So all the rest of the kids, and there's about 50 kids. There's like 5 demons and 50 kids. The rest of them do not know about this secret organization. They don't even really know about the demons in the farm system at all. However, these 9 members do. They know everything about the farms. They know everything about the demons and kind of the war. The only thing that they don't know about is that they think that there are human villages outside of Goldie Pond, which Emma knows there's not, and she picks up on the fact that they believe that there are villages and they're not. So Emma kind of gets clued in there, but she kind of takes a mental note and doesn't say anything. So they're all introducing themselves, and they're like, "Hey, we're trying to come up with a plan to kill all the demons. We're gonna destroy Goldie Pond." And Emma's like, "That's cool. So, who told you all this?" And then comes in what another guy that Emma thinks is Mr. Minerva, but it's not. It's a man named Lucas. He's got a scarred face, and he walks with a cane. He walks with a limp, and he might be missing an arm. I'm not really sure because they hardly ever draw it. But yeah, he's basically been there forever, and Emma pieces it together that Lucas and Mister were from the original group. They had originally gone to Goldie Pond together, and Mister had thought Lucas died, and even Lucas admitted that he died. He thought he had died. But what really happened was when they separated, there was a girl who saved Lucas. She's been living in these like underground tunnel system that she had said she's been using for playing hide and seek, and Lucas followed her, and she saved Lucas, and now everybody thinks that Lucas is dead, and he's been in hiding ever since. The only people to know about it are the 9 members, Emma, and Adam. I'm actually surprised they did not include Adam in the 9 members, even though he's kind of their bodyguard. Um, I think the only reason is because he's a simpleton, at least what it appears to be. He only talks about numbers, which I'm gonna refer to later on. But so Lucas had Oliver and sorry, Lucas brought Emma down to the tunnels, and he's like, "Bring your pen." So he does that, and they come across a door that actually literally says PEN in the Morse code. It had that owl symbol that Minerva always has on everything, and with the pen Morse code. So all Emma really had to do was she opened her pen, and the door unlocked. And Lucas is going like, if I had the pen, I would have done that. But unfortunately, the other dude has it. Which, I mean, I already know the other dude's name, but I'm still calling him Mister because I'm not at that point in the manga yet. Anyways, so they enter the room, and at first, the first thing they find is like a computer room. It tells everything about Goldie Pond, and you figured out that Goldie Pond, where Emma's at, the village is actually underground, and the sky that's being portrayed above them is actually a projector, and everything is climate controlled. Like everything is literally controlled to a T. And it kind of confuses me. I was like, why is this room here unprotected? Unless there's a second room in the demon mansion, Lord Bayon, he's the one that in charge of Goldie Pond. Unless he has a room that's also like this, and that's possible too. Because well, I'll mention what happens in a second. So after Emma and Lucas venture further on, they find a pond. They literally find a lake made of golden water. And the golden water has like these magical properties where they don't stick to anything. Like they literally walked through the golden water to this floating cabin, and not a single drop of the golden water stuck to them at all. So, but like I said, there's a floating cabin in the middle of the pond. So they walked into the cabin, and in the cabin there's a desk with an old-fashioned, like circular telephone. You know, the one where I don't know the name because I'm not old enough to know that name, but it's one of those. Oh, dial. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, there's that, and then there's an old style elevator next to it. And so Emma inserts a pen into a console. Yeah, she inserts the pen into the console, turns the pen, and it says on. And the gates of the elevator open up. And then, like 2 seconds later, they close, and the panel says failure. Then the phone rings. And it turns out that William and Minerva placed a pre recorded message telling Emma and Lucas, hey, I've been betrayed, and so this elevator's been shut down. I'm sorry I couldn't find you, and I'm sorry that the village that I had built to be a safe haven for you guys has been found out and is probably not safe. So that's how the demons took control of Goldie Pond. And so he's like, hey, if you want to, you can end the war, or sorry, you could break the promise if you want to. You could go to the human world, which would start pretty much a war, or you could reforge the promise. And so, if you want to do that, you have to go find the seven walls, which I won't get into here. So, as they do that, Lucas finally decides, hey, I need to tell everybody the truth. That instead of instead of there being human villages on the outside, let's just tell them that there's an entire human world. And so he does, and some of those 9 members get a little mad, but they're like, hey, there's an entire world that's just humans. It's demon free. That's even better news than what we were currently live in, where we just thought that there was only some human villages. Uh, so, Emma is really surprised by that because she thought that everybody would get kind of punchy. But no, they don't. And as they're talking, she notices Adam kind of walking out, and she's like, "Hey, how come nobody actually is telling Adam anything?" And I believe it's either Oliver or Violet tells her that Adam is from a special place. Everybody else is from the same farm. In fact, they're from the farm that Lord Bayon owns. I have it somewhere in my notes, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm trying to keep this video length down. So, anyways, he says that he's from a special farm. Nobody really knows about it, and all he says are the numbers 22194. Actually, they don't even mention that he says those numbers, but that's what he says. He's kind of in the secret room saying 22194. And if anyone's really been paying close attention to the anime, they know that 22194 is the numbers that's been tattooed onto Norman's neck. Emma's is like, I don't remember what Emma's is, but it also ends in 194. Anyways, same thing with Ray. Ray, Norman, and Emma, their numbers end in 194, which kind of makes sense because they're all around the same age. So I'm guessing the 194 part is just kind of like a date. And like the first 2 numbers might be just like the number of kids that were like the order that they were born. Okay, my computer also fell asleep again. Um, Sorry for any skipped frames. So, uh, uh, after he says that, you're kind of going like, wait, why is he spouting Norman's number? And then the next chapter, chapter 74, they give into a flashback. I I'm gonna say it's a flashback, and it introduces a couple things. First, actually, chapter 73 introduces some things that I forgot to mention. So, before I talk about 74, 73 introduces Peter Rattray. Peter, kind of like the Peter Pan of the group, I'm assuming. He's the person that's in charge of the promise. He's the one in charge of enforcing the promise between the demons and the humans. In fact, he's the person that betrayed William Minerva. He's actually William Minerva's brother, and he found out about the village, and so he had the demons sneak it out, and he actually convinced Lord Bayon to oversee uh, the entire Goldie Pond. So that's just kind of interesting. So back to 74, we get introduced to Norman and what Norman's been going on. So uh, my theory was correct that Norman isn't dead, and that was pretty obvious. You know, if you don't see a body, no, don't assume they're dead. Anyways, Norman basically he met Peter Rattray. Peter Rattray literally specifically chose Norman to take to a special farm to do research with. And this is a farm that even has human researchers along with the demons, which is really interesting. I actually think that the human researchers may be members of the Rattray family, but I don't know anything about them. I just noticed that they were human researchers. So Norman's being researched upon, and he's constantly taking tests like he did at Gracefield. And just to kind of give you on how intelligent he is, he's got 8 minutes to solve 200 questions, which he did easily. He solved all the questions, had a perfect score, and I did the math on that. That was like that is 25 questions a minute, or 5 questions for every 12 seconds, which is really amazing. Like that's almost like one question every 2 seconds. That's with some change. Um, Anyways, he's there and he's really missing Emma and Norman. Yeah, sorry, he's missing Emma and Ray. So he's trying to come up with a plan to escape this special plantation. Even though it's heavily guarded, there's cameras everywhere. In fact, at one point he was testing the cameras. He dropped a fork in a drawer, really randomly popped out of the wall and caught the fork before it fell. So that's kind of how instinctive people are watching him. So yeah, he's currently trapped in this plantation, but he's trying to come up with ways to escape. So that's where I actually ended going to end the chapters for this review. I still have some more to say, but I'm gonna hold off and do my part two for Goldie Pond is gonna be like chapter 75 to maybe 100. It's really gonna depend on how I go about it. I've been really struggling on how I wanted to formulate this because Goldie Pond is such a big arc and there's so many little facets to it. Like I've been reading through and there is so much information on every single page that I finally kind of said, screw it, let's just kind of do a single take video and just kind of get my thoughts out there. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this video relatively short, so I think before I really go on any further, I might as well talk about some things that's kind of been on my mind as I read this chapter. So the first thing that I want to talk about is Mr. I really like his character. I actually really like his character because it makes so much sense. He thought that he betrayed his friends, and in a way, he is very much like Emma, at least his old self. And the reason why he doesn't want to be attached to anyone is because he feels like they're not going to survive anyway. And literally, right when Emma convinced him not to, convinced him to, or got through to him. When Emma got through to him, he kind of got in mind, and he actually tried warning Emma, but it was too late. She got captured, and he was like, "Dang, Ray was lucky enough to even notice in time." Ray is that intelligent. So, they're walking around, and eventually they're gonna actually break into Goldie Pond. But just kind of his character development has really been interesting. Um, I like how his character makes sense. Yeah, I really like how his character makes sense, and I like how Emma affected him. Because that's just kind of how Emma is. Emma is one of those characters she almost affects all the characters around her more than they affect her. Kind of like Luffy from One Piece. The character Luffy almost isn't any different from chapter 1 to chapter 1001. Like, there's almost no difference in the character whatsoever besides some slight changes. Um, and I'm kind of noticing the same thing with with Emma a little bit. She's that stubborn type that just does what she wants, and what she wants to do is save everybody. And so, what really is happening is how everybody else is being changed around her. Ray managed to kind of change his personality because of her. We have Dawn and Gilda who are stepping up into their roles because of her. You know, uh, you know, and so Mister is like, okay. At first, he tried convincing Ray that he's like, I'm not gonna hurt anyone. Let's just come back. I won't hurt anyone. And in a way, I wonder if Gilda's threat is still in his mind. Because Gilda made that threat that if he comes back empty-handed, or if he comes back and both of them are dead, she's gonna blow up the place. Which, that could be in the back of his mind too. So he's like, Ray, Emma's already doomed. Let's get out of here. And Ray's like, no. And Ray, like I said earlier, he finally manages to not give in so easily. He is so determined to save Emma that even he manages to convince Mister, hey, we've got to break into this place. And so, they finally are doing that. And it's really, I'm really liking that both of their characters' progression. To be honest, I really like how both of them are doing. I'm kind of looking at my white in the blinds. I'm like, wearing white today was a really bad idea. Anyways, so let's see now. This video's gone on for 28 minutes. Let's see. What other topics do I want to talk about? Okay, so I also want to briefly mention Lucas. Yeah, so Lucas is an interesting character too because he's been at Goldie Pond the longest. And one thing that I really thought was interesting was he told Emma that if he told everyone the truth, they would just shoot themselves. He's like, I've seen it happen, which tells me he literally has told people the truth and they ended up committing suicide. And so, like, that also fascinates me. Like, Lucas, he's he's been one of those characters that's like he how do I want to say it? It's almost like he's got to be lonely at times. But like both him and Mister are experiencing two different types of loneliness. Mister, he's completely by himself. He's only got his thoughts to accompany him. And while on the same time, Lucas is also like he's got all these people, but he can't really interact with them the way he can because he's afraid that they're going to hurt themselves. Sorry, my computer fell asleep again. So, um, yeah, that's really interesting. I think my final thing that I'm going to talk about, because this video has gone on for way too long, I was hoping for it to be about 20 minutes, but there was just no way that I was going to be able to uh, consolidate it down to that much. So much has happened within these just 15 chapters. So, I guess the final thing that I want to mention is that William Minerva, whose real name is James Ratsry, and yeah, William Minerva, like it's the way that he was able to orchestrate everything, like he made sure that all the kids had read his books, and like that part is really interesting. Like he left a message saying that the answers lie within Ugo's bed, or not Ugo, Marvin's bed. Yeah, Marvin's bed. And anybody who would have listened to that message would be like, who the heck is Marvin? And it turns out that Marvin is a Lieber in that book that I mentioned earlier. In my previous video where I'm like, hey, I wonder if they're going to reference this book again. Turns out they referenced that book again, which makes me super happy. And so yeah, they're like, hey, the answers lie within Marvin's bed. So they literally took a drawer out of the desk, and they're like, it's empty. But that's obvious. That means that the traitors, the people who had betrayed Mr. Minerva, had taken everything out. He's like, no, the answer wouldn't be in the drawer. And so they had literally pulled the drawer out. Emma found a board within their desk, pulled the board out, and they found a little pen cap. And so Lucas put the pen cap on, and all of a sudden, it was like, I think he literally described it as a memory card. The pen just lit up, and they were able to see text. It was like all this information. They talked about Lambda, the place that Norman's at. It's like Lambda's 7214. And that's also where Adam is from. And so you know that Adam escaped at some point. I mean, you got to keep that in mind. Adam has had to know Norman because he knows Norman's numbers. Adam escaped somehow. They don't really go into depth on how he escaped. They just say he escaped. And so you kind of got to think, okay, if Adam escaped, possibly Norman could escape. I'm not going to say anything else about that, but that's just kind of something that's going on. I did look in the Norman flashback. I did not see Adam at all. I saw a character that was bulky like Adam, but it wasn't Adam. It was someone else. So part of me also thinks that Adam escaped somewhere before that flashback took place. Um, it's possible. I really don't know at that point. And they don't really go on into any more depth about it. Oh, okay. Last thing that I want to talk about. This is something that's been kind of bothering me. I want to know more about the girl who saved Lucas. Apparently, she died like 5 years later, and due to sickness, and that was it. It was like literally the story is like this girl saved me, she showed me the place, she died 5 years later from sickness. And I'm kind of like, oh, I want to know more about her. That's the thing. It's like I'm so invested into this world. I want to know more about her, And so I'm really hoping that the anime will explore her character more. That's kind of what I'm noticing about the anime right now. And I'm not gonna go into I'm not gonna talk about much about the anime. I'm gonna have my own separate review, I think, for episodes 1 and 2. But yeah, I want to know more about her. Even a name. Lucas just says a girl saved me. He didn't even give a name. Like that's just kind of interesting. Yeah, I just want to know more. So I'm about at 35 minutes, so I'm gonna call this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed, or at least dealt with me rambling on, going off onto different topics. I know it wasn't much of a review, if it was kind of more of me spouting up, just, yeah, just literally spouting out synopsis. And so I'm gonna try and figure out better ways to do reviews, but I'm just gonna go with this method for right now. Um, just if you want, leave a comment down below saying if you can I even made it to this part of the video. Just tell me how I'm doing. If there's anything I could improve, like not wearing white with a white blinds. Like I could even see that this isn't gonna turn up so well. So, um, but I'm just doing this because I want to. I will see you guys next time. This is the I've been the anime over analyst. I'm still trying to figure out a better outro, but anyways, I've been the over analyst. I hope you guys take care. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.